All right.
Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. It is Thursday, June the 2nd, and we got a couple of MLB free pick winners for you on Friday, June the 3rd. But before we get to that, let me introduce my partner every Thursday, Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. Doug, how are you?
I am doing excellent, Ross, and I'm happy to say that last Thursday we went 2-0, so that was good to get that cleaned up. And hey, let's duplicate that again and make everybody happy.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So, hey, so a couple things before we get to our free picks, Doug. First, the NBA Finals start tonight. Now, some of you may be viewing this after the game was over, tomorrow maybe, which is Friday. Again, we're taping 24 hours in advance. But an intriguing matchup, Doug. The Boston Celtics, the winner of the Eastern Conference, takes on Golden State. Boston coming off two consecutive 7-game series against Milwaukee and Miami. They've faced some star power during the course of the run to the finals. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in round one, they swept the Nets. And then in round two, they faced Giannis in the defending world champion Milwaukee Bucks, and in round three, the number one seed Miami Heat, and knocked them off, albeit Miami was a little banged up, but so was Boston. You know, they had their injuries, but in any event, Doug, to me, this I'm very excited about this NBA Finals.
Yeah, I sure am too, Ross. I think that from a matchup standpoint, it kind of reminds me of like a fight. You know, as to where you have so much contrast in style. I mean, Boston's not really a huge team, but by today's ever-changing NBA standards, they're certainly bigger. Okay, from that standpoint, they're bigger guys. Their big guys are quite a bit more athletic. So they have that advantage. They have tremendous length across the board and that's why they're in part why they're so good defensively. Where Golden State, you know, gives the appearance of being more of a finesse team. You know, they make a lot of threes, not that Boston does it, but they make a lot of threes. They set up a lot of 3-point shots, and their passing is as pretty a basketball as you're going to see. You know, at this era of watching them play, it's just fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there too many threes jacked up in today's game? Sure. Okay. But they have a purpose as to what they're doing, which is something you can't say about a lot of the other NBA teams.
No, most of them. Anyway, yeah, it's intriguing. Boston, to me, is a team we're going to see early on if they're worn down. But I don't think they will be. It's the NBA Finals. You know, these guys, this is what these guys hope and dream for. So I think it would be a stretch to depend on just making a pick based on who's the most rested. Golden State just coming off a 5-game series. The series before that went 6. The series before that went 5. I get all that. But at the end of the day, a little bit of contrast in styles, as Doug was just saying. But by the same token, I like this series to play out to the whole 7 games. We'll see, you know, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and pick a winner because that boxes me in, Doug, and I hate picking NBA series winner. I hate picking NHL series winners at this time of year because so much can change through the course of a series, Doug, and that whatever the evolution of the series is, the coaching adjustments, whatever, dictates who we like on that particular day.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And in this one, you also have the component, and not that it isn't there every year, but it seems like it's a little more extreme with the injuries. Yes. I mean, you know, you got the Golden State bench, which is missing has missed a number of guys, especially in the Dallas series. So they're supposed to come back. Who knows if they're going to come back, like Peyton and Otto Porter Jr., for example, coming back in this series. Or game one, excuse me, and Boston, Marcus Smart. I mean, all reports saying he's still not healthy, but he's gutting it out. Robert Williams has been in and out of the lineup as their center. And, if they can put Williams and Horford always in there, that gives them more strength against Golden State, in the paint that way. So, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I see 7 games in this one. I wish I could tell you anything more. It's just a matter who is able to impose their will. Right. And as you said, Ross, it's going to be game to game who has the possibility to do that.
Yeah, for those of you keeping score at home, Golden State is a money line favorite of -160 to win the series. Boston is at +140. There you have it. Make your decision, whatever that may be. You're not going to get a pick from me and Doug on the series, by the way. So put that at thought to an end. Anyway, Major League Baseball.
Hey, let's talk the Los Angeles Dodgers and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was just
we?
going to say that. How about them Bucks sweeping the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium?
That I'm like blown away by it. I mean, it's amazing anyways, but when you add the betting component to it, Ross,
Yeah.
it's just completely flabbergasting to think how that could happen. The one of the
So
things.
let me interject. How much did 100 people who bet to win $100 on every game on the Dodgers in that series, how much did they lose?
They lost $915, Ross.
I don't
That's
mean to
all.
laugh at, but man, oh man, that further exemplifies why we tell you not to bet big chalks. Anyway, Doug, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no. So I mean, it was just and the other part, there was nothing fluky about it. I mean, they just beat them. I mean, it wasn't like bunch of errors, anything. They just came in and they beat them really soundly. And you can make the case, okay, the Dodgers are going to play the Mets, upcoming. Then don't take them interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, if the Dodgers would happen to lose their division by a game, I don't know anybody that wouldn't think back to that series.
Absolutely.
But here's the main point is that the Dodgers, as we speak, they have the top run line differential in baseball. As we speak, the Pittsburgh Pirates are tied with Kansas City, having the worst run differential in baseball, and yet Pittsburgh wins 5 out of 6 in the season series. Just remarkable. And as I've said this before, with baseball, it's the beauty of baseball. It's the curse of baseball, depending on what side you are as far as betting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes baseball betting keeps you on your toes, because every time you think you got to figure it out, Pittsburgh comes along and beats a Dodgers team by 3-0 sweep. And they're going to be the Dodgers, that is, they're going to be entertaining the Mets in a 4-game series. So starting tonight, and you look at the Mets, 6-0 in their last 6, tremendous record right now. In that 6-game win streak, they outscored their opposition 42-19. Now, an asterisk comes there because they played Washington and Philadelphia, 2 terrible pitching staffs, and the Mets just unloaded offensively in those games. But the easy thing to do as a simple-minded handicapper is to say the Mets have won 6 in a row. They're killing the opposition during that 6-game win streak. They're playing a Dodgers team coming off a 3-game sweep loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates at home. On top of it, the Mets have to be the play. I beg to differ. I would say that I'm going to stay away from the game, but hear me out on this, Doug, and I'd be interested to hear your feedback. When you have a team like the Mets, now they did play yesterday afternoon, which helps a lot, okay? But they still have to travel across 3 time zones, acclimate to the 3-hour difference. A starting time on the game happens at 10 o'clock on their biological clock, and they're going to be playing a team that has been playing at home already. The Dodgers, as bad as they were against Pittsburgh, have been sleeping in their own beds for the last few days. So I just think that if you can't find a reason to fade the team playing with no rest and going across 3 time zones against a team that's just in the middle of a homestand, I think you just need to stay away from the game. So that's just me. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ross. I think that from the standpoint, the travel aspect certainly comes into play. I mean, or you have to take it into consideration. And the other thing too about this game, at least when I saw it, that I guess made me stop and think, is that if the Mets were really the play, why then are the Dodgers -160?
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, so that's so the odds makers to me are grading they're not looking at the last 6 games the Mets have played. They're not looking at the last 3 games the Dodgers have played. They're looking at the relative strengths of the team and taking who the starting pitchers are, and they're making their line accordingly. So from that standpoint, you can throw out all that other noise and instead handicap the game just straight up and forget everything else. And you know what? I think the line's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tony Gonsolin is slated to be the starter for the LA Dodgers, but we all know the last time he was scheduled to start, what happened, Doug?
Well, he just didn't pitch. He was supposed to pitch on Friday, the game I went to.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And
And
he
the
didn't
game
pitch
you
till
picked and
Saturday.
still won. Yeah,
Right.
that's
He
where I
still
was
won,
going
and
with
so
this.
yeah, he's still getting the job done. I mean, his ERA is under 2. Taijuan Walker has been good for the Mets. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no
he's been
question about
solid.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's solid, but I don't think he's had much success against the Dodgers in his career. Not that he's faced them a ton, but he hasn't had much success. So I'm with you. I see no reason to play the game. But if like this always happens with this, if it seems obvious, it probably isn't.
Yeah, and like you said, why is the Dodgers minus 125? They're coming off a 3-game being swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates at home, and the Mets won 6 in a row. So not trying to persuade you, but we're folks, but we're, a couple handicapping tips that you might want to store in your memory bank going forward. Okay, let's get to our free picks, Doug, in Major League Baseball. Let's go another 2-0 this week.
I'm ready for it, Ross, and I think I might have a winner here. I'm looking at the Houston Astros, who continue their 9-game road excursion. They're going to spend the weekend in Kansas City, maybe have a little barbecue while they're there, as a matter of fact. Now, Houston comes into this one. They got the second best record in the American League, but it's different how they're doing it. Before, a lot of it was based on offense. Now it's almost exclusively pitching. Houston has the best ERA in baseball, okay, among all the teams. Their bullpen is the best. They're third in starter ERA. They're gonna send out Jose Urquidy, and he has not been a contributor to their success. His ERA is 4.80, but he's facing, Ross, a Kansas City club that is scoring 2.9 runs per game at home. So that's 29 out of 30 in Major League Baseball this year. Now, the Royals are going to counter with Brady Singer, who got a late start to season, started in the bullpen in May, coming out of spring, off of spring training. Then he has made some 3 starts since. And those 3 starts, his ERA is a sterling 1.37. Now, Singer's going to be going up against the lineup that from Houston that on this road trip is only scored 16 runs in 6 games. Okay. They've managed to win 4 of them. So that's really good from that standpoint. But when you look around and dig around with Houston, they are the number 1 under team in baseball at 36-13. And when you then break it down, you got a Kansas City team who is 16-33 on the season. And the Astros are 24-6 under against losing teams. And the drill down from there, because of their Kansas City's record is so poor, Houston is 12-2 under against teams that have a win percentage of 3.80 or less. I'm going to go under, Ross, which is the big surprise I know to you. We'll take the under 8.5 with Kansas City and Houston on Friday night.
Yeah, Brady Singer, for what it's worth, 137 ERA, as Doug said, over his last 3 starts. He's averaging 6.6 innings pitched over those last 3 starts. Why is that important? Because the Kansas City bullpen's terrible, and they've been terrible over the last 7 days or so. So, again, the under Kansas City, under 7.5 from Kansas City, Houston, that is under 7.5 from Doug Upstone of DocSports.com for Friday, the 3rd of June. I am going to look at the Boston Red Sox at Oakland game. It'll be Nathan Eovaldi going for the Boston Red Sox. Starting pitcher for Oakland will be James Kaprielian. That game goes at 9:40 p.m. Eastern time. As we speak right now, the Boston Red Sox are a minus 135 money line road favorite. The Oakland A's have just been atrocious at home, 7-21 at home, and averaging only 2.6 runs per game in those 28 home games. On top of that, it gets even worse if they're a home underdog of plus 100 or greater. They've gone 2-15 this year in that situation. And they're going to be facing a starting pitcher in Nathan Eovaldi, who's given up 55 hits this season in 10 starts, 5.5 hits per start, Why is that important? Because the A's are 2-18 this year versus American League starting pitchers that allow 5.5 or less hits per start. Just some terrible numbers for the Oakland A's. James Kaprielian, their starting pitcher, over the last three, a 6.75 ERA, and that's a sweltering ERA, has been aided by him allowing 5 home runs in 14 2/3 innings in those starts. 3 home starts for Kaprielian this year, a 7.72 ERA. Oakland has lost their last 3, 6 of their last 7. Their bullpen over the last 7, 8.37 ERA and a 1.86 WHIP. I mean, it does, this sounds like a very sad story. Nathan Eovaldi, 5 road starts this year, 2.97 ERA, 0.96 WHIP, and averaging a little over 6 innings pitched per start. Boston 10-5 in the last 15, 13-7 in the last 20. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox here, minus 135 over the Oakland A's. Folks, if this line goes to 140 or more, I would suggest going to the run line. If you can get it under 140, then take Boston on the money line. As we know, we're taping 24 hours in advance, Doug, and sometimes giving out lines at this time, this early, work for us. Sometimes it works against us, but we'll grade the plays on the lines we give you the day of the taping. Doug, it's been a huge, it's a huge week coming up with the NHL playoffs and the conference finals, the NBA finals, and a full slate of Major League Baseball. Tell the folks how you've been doing, what you got going on, and where they could find you, my friend.
Well, you mentioned those 2 sports. I am very interested in the NBA playoffs, and why shouldn't I be? 57-31 of late, up over $8,200 in terms of profit since January the 21st. And so I actually have a pick on so as we're doing this, I got a pick on the Thursday night game. It's a smaller play on game 1 of the finals. And actually but I will definitely have a bigger play on game 2. As long as there's no, injuries that impact anything, I'm going to have a much bigger play on game 2 on Sunday. I can promise you that. There's one situation I'm looking to see how this turns out tonight that will influence my decision on that. I think it's going to go the way I think it will. So look for a big play there, but having a great season there. NHL playoffs, 17-11 run. Things have gone well there. And in spite of that, in spite of being 1-3 in overtime, by the way, I just thought I'd throw that out there for fun, just for my own amusement and Ross's. And so it's been a good run in the NHL playoffs. Big best bets, 5-2 in the playoffs. So that's been going along well. Had another winner with the USFL last week, Ross. So
wow.
an easy winner, and my first total in the USFL.
All right.
Killed it. So that was good. So I definitely will have a game of the week going in there. And of course, we still have baseball, and I'll be trotting out some horse racing picks on Saturday.
All right. Sounds great. And golf is also
golf
one of Doug's fortes. If you're somebody who likes to bet on PGA golf and PGA tournaments, Doug is very astute, worked in the golf industry for years. So you be picking the right guy when it comes to PGA picks. NBA for me, 39-24 with my last 63. That's good for 62%, folks. And my 10-star top plays, which are my best bets, never give out more than 1 of those in a day. Sometimes I don't give out any. And 7-1 with my last 8 10-star top plays. And on top of that, 32-11 over my last 43 10-star top plays, 74%, folks. That's getting it done. And guess what? If you see this in time, I will have a Thursday night NBA Finals Game 1 10-star top play. Got the winning side. Remember, 39-24, 62% since April 1st. NBA in 10-star top plays, 32-11 the last 43, folks. So all fits the bill. And Doug would be very proud of me because I had 2 10-star top play winners this past week, as I had the New York Rangers plus 135 in game 7 over the Carolina Hurricanes. And I also had game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. I had the total over 7, and that game finished 8-6. And only
doubled it.
As one of my customers eloquently texted me and said, Ross, I didn't know they were playing this game with soccer goals instead of hockey goals, hockey nets, whatever.
It reminded me of the NHL All-Star game from a few years ago. Remember those where the defenseman just stood around and didn't do anything, and the goalie, it was just open season. It very much reminded me of that.
Yeah, you know what? In this Edmonton team, the way they play reminds me of the old Edmonton Oilers. Now, let's not get carried away. No, they're not as good or proven right now. But in terms of style, I mean, shots on goal. These teams have played 5 times this year, and there's an average of 71 shots on goal per game. So they're amongst the 2 highest rated teams in terms of shots on goal and quality chances per game in the NHL. And that will make for a very, very exciting series. By the way, game 2 tonight, and Darcy Kemper is ruled out. So they're going to have to go with their backup. We'll see what happens. But we've seen this on too many times over the years, right, Doug? When a backup steps up and the other team thinks they got the advantage, and he stonewalls them. It's just about getting right at the right time of year. And how about Igor? What's his last name?
I can't even pronounce it. Let's just go with Igor. Let's go with that. Everybody knows who that is.
The Rangers goaltender.
The Rangers goalie, Igor, the Rangers goalie.
Look, you can make a case the Rangers got outplayed in the first 2 series. They both won 7 games.
Yep.
And it's because of him. Shesterkin, I believe, is his last name. Okay, Igor Shesterkin. He's just been tremendous, including in a loss. He had 70 saves against Pittsburgh in a loss. So in any event, the Rangers, first time all postseason, Doug, that they've actually had a lead in the series.
Yes, and I like what they're doing. I had them last night myself. Just you mentioned about rest. Talk about a team that had too much rest. It was Tampa Bay. They just were discombobulated completely. But they're not going to play like that, even though New York's had their number. They're 4-0 against them now this season. So that adds a lot of intrigue to game 2. That's for sure.
Keep this in mind. Tampa Bay 18-0 in their last 18 playoff games following a loss.
Yep.
So this is not a team that's you're not going to sweep Tampa Bay. There's no unless it's something happened that's unforeseen. I'll go out on a limb and say this is not going to be a 4-game series. So how's that?
Thanks, Captain Obvious. I appreciate that.
Anyway, you can find me at rbwins.com. You can find Doug at docsports.com. 2 winning handicappers doing very well right now, not only in the NBA postseason, Major League Baseball, and the NHL playoffs. And also, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. There's no subscriptions. There's no strings attached. You hit that subscribe button. You'll see an OSGA icon in the bottom right-hand side of your screen right now. If you hover over that, hit the subscribe button, and then make sure you hit the notification bell, because you'll be alerted immediately upon any of our free pick videos going up on this channel. Until the next time, for Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, good luck, God bless, take care, and have a fantastic weekend, folks.